To begin this morning, the funeral of Pope Francis. Our Seth Doan reports from Rome.
In death, as in life, Francis cast aside formality. He wanted a simple funeral for a common man. But
rest in peace, Pope Francis. He is gone forever.
He was a pope, and simple is hard to do in the shadow of St. Peter's Basilica. Royals, presidents, and cardinals in a sea of red joined hundreds of thousands of the faithful at the Pope's funeral mass Saturday. The service underlined both history and continuity. Francis was the 266th Pope of this 2,000-year-old institution. In this singular office, Francis still stood out. He was the first pope from the Americas, the first Jesuit pope, and despite being the spiritual leader of nearly 1.5 billion Catholics, those who knew him say he prized being normal.
Really, Pope Francis is different. Pope Francis was real, to everyone. Pope Francis was poor and was the Pope for the poor. And most people in the world are poor people. So he brought that mutual love to the poor, even to give them believe in themselves that, we also belong somewhere. We are loved, because he loved really the poor. He loved the world. He loved everybody. He never discriminated in any group of people. He was taking everyone the way he was. This is the Pope for the people. This is the Pope who came to join everybody, to bring peace to everyone.
Plain wooden coffin was driven through Rome, winding its way past the Colosseum as thousands bid farewell, including American Sonia Sweeney and her family.
This Pope in particular has been really wonderful for the new generations because he was so welcoming and loving, and I think he really opened up the church not only for Catholics but for, everybody.
Francis chose to be buried outside of the Vatican, the first pontiff in more than a century to do so. At the Basilica of St. Mary Major, his tombstone will be marked just Franciscus. No mention of that title, Pope, an eternal message of humility.
You can never fully be prepared for the loss of something like this. Someone who, for the last 13 years almost, was the sort of visible sign of unity in the church.
Dominic Walters from Minnesota is studying to become a priest at Rome's Pontifical North American College, along with Deacon Robert Williams, who's from Oklahoma. Both met Pope Francis.
I remember he joked, make sure and be normal priests. Do things like play sports, play instruments, do normal things. And so it's funny how that stuck with me is that now here, every time I play pickup soccer or pick up basketball, I always think this one's for you, Pope Francis. So he was just a man of normalcy, and he wanted us to imitate that.
He told CBS News' Nora O'Donnell in a rare interview with an American broadcast network that he wanted to leave a legacy that is not about himself.
Do you like when you are called the people's Pope?
El Papa de la gente.
The Pope of the people? I've always been a pastor. You are a pastor for the people, not for yourself. A pastor has to be for the people.
Born in Argentina, the son of Italian immigrants, Jorge Mario Bergoglio took the name Francis as pontiff after the saint who rejected wealth. Railing against the, quote, virus of consumerism, he said he wanted a poor church for the poor.
All those people around us who are trapped in a cycle of poverty, they too need to be given hope.
In his 2015 address to Congress, a first for any pope, he expressed his concern about inequality, a theme throughout his papacy.
The fight against poverty and hunger must be fought constantly.
And in a powerful gesture and break with a pre-Easter tradition, the Pope
Bro, this is so beautiful. Pope Francis.
would wash the feet of non-Christians, including Muslim and Hindu refugees.
This is great love. Pope Francis really loved everybody. Loved the peace, loved all the people, loved everyone, and loved the unity. Pope Francis.
As well as women prisoners.
He definitely made the Pope a more approachable, accessible figure, but also more of a celebrity in the modern mold.
Francis Rocca covered this Pope mostly as a reporter for the Wall Street Journal. The pontiff traveled in simple cars and traded the lavish apostolic palace for a room at a Vatican guest house.
People called him the People's Pope, but that reminds us of the People's Princess, Princess Diana. Obviously very different figures, and yet in some ways they were relatable. Francis became a true modern celebrity that people identified with. They felt they knew him personally.
Yeah.
Did that change the church itself in any way?
Yes.
Is it tone over teaching?
People felt they understood what he was saying based on a soundbite, and that drove more rigorous people in the church, it drove them crazy because they would say, no, that was taken out of context, that was just a soundbite.
For instance, he made a provocative statement on his first international trip, saying, "Who am I to judge?" in reference to gay priests.
The Pope understood communications very well, and he was very much in control of the message. He didn't change the catechism on contraception or on homosexuality, but he changed the people's perceptions of how important those teachings were, and certainly a lot of people concluded that it was a matter of private conscience.
But his liberal leanings heightened division in the church.
Whether he will be seen as very pivotal in terms of doctrine of the church, whether he was the first in a liberalizing trend or was an anomaly, history will have to tell.
Cardinals are now meeting in preparation for the conclave, the secretive process by which they'll choose the next pope.
Are you watching closely, wondering what's happening in these meetings of cardinals?
I like to hope it's at least a healthy amount of curiosity and not too much. Anytime in my own heart I'm tempted to ever start to get concerned about how might this go, it's an opportunity to make an act of faith and invite the Lord to be in charge.
At the Pontifical North American College, seminarians Robert Williams and Dominique Walters told us it's a, quote, beautiful testament to the Church that there's so much interest in its historic traditions, notably the conclave and the film that dramatized it.
Is what's about to take place anything like what we saw in the conclave, the movie?
Yeah. See the church as being really shaped by the politics of the day. The movie has certainly gotten a lot of people interested in a papal election, but I think the truth is somehow much simpler and also so much more complex, because the church isn't just a human institution.
Catholics believe there is a divine component to this process, and cardinals will soon gather in the Sistine Chapel to select the next pope. About 4/5 of these princes of the church who will be voting were appointed by Francis, and they'll weigh whether to cement or chip away at his legacy.
Pope Francis will always be remembered for your good teachings. He was a man of the common people. Beautiful report. May he rest in peace. Watching all this as a Christian makes me realize how relaxed Christianity is in compassion. Yeah. The Pope of the people. Yeah, beautiful. The Pope of the people. I have always been a pastor. You are a pastor for the people, not for yourself. Yeah, that is his sayings. A pastor has to be for the people. Perfect. Francisco was a true leader, focusing on those he served and not on himself. Yeah. Papa stood for humanity without discrimination, whether Europeans, Africans, Americans, Asian, or Australians, he demonstrated that religion and the God is for the people. As a former Catholic, I have respect for His Holiness and the legacy he has left behind. 1.5 billion Catholics, the one true and only Father in heaven is pouring out His Spirit to them. Okay, I leave it to for nothing horrible took place in them. Okay.